everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Addie. I just recently filmed a homeschool room tour and I thought I would go a little bit more in depth with some of my homeschool items and how I kind of store the things for the themes of the week, because if you have followed me, you know that I do themes each week for our preschool, and I have a list of those themes available free for you to print on my website. I'll link it below. You just sign up for my newsletter. The password to all the freebies will be emailed to you, and then you can go and download, you know, whichever one you want. Anyway, so those themes basically I store so that each year I can use them over and over and I don't have to start over. And so I thought I would just walk you a little bit more in depth on that process. So behind me is my bookshelf, and just in general, in case you haven't seen the room tour yet, this shelf here and then just over here, this closet is in general where I keep most of my homeschool supplies. So I'll give you a little rundown. So this bookshelf here, and then this closet here. This is like toys for toy rotation. A big part of preschool is play, so I'll link that video kind of like here as well. And then here in this empty spot, I have pulled down the box, the banker's box, to here. All right, so in this kind of like banker box here, this is about 1/4 of my homeschool themes. So I have 4 banker boxes and I keep basically fall, winter, spring, and summer themes in those boxes. So one for each quarter of the year. If you go to my themes, you'll see that like I have the dates and what week of the school year that they pertain to. So it's basically broken out by that. So the first set, like the end of August through December is in one. January through March is in another. April through, you know, wherever is in another. So that's how I store it. So this box particularly that I am going to show you now, this is the first quarter box. It's all my basically fall themes, and I'll show you how I keep it. So here we are opening the box, and you can see I have like a mix of things in here. There's some objects, there's some books, there's a puzzle. So really, I just keep whatever pertains to that theme with all the stuff. That way I don't have to go across the room to get a puzzle, across the room to get something, somewhere else to get a book. Everything is just right here. So kind of to start, we'll just see. The first thing I have in here is community helpers. So in here is everything that pertains to community helpers. And, you know, I have little flashcards that we might go over. Little games that we might play. This is a little 3-part puzzle, and we have worksheets and I Spy games, and just anything that has to do with the community helper theme goes in this folder. And if I have something like this, I'll just put it with the folder. I don't have anything for the community helper one, but if I did, it would go there. Okay, so here's another example. In transportation. So with transportation, here is my little section on it. And I can see that these are all the things I have. So I have a book about flight. I have a little parking lot game that you can play with cars. And here I have some of the things that go with that game. Have another thing on paper planes, which could be interesting. And then I have a train game as well. So these are all resources that have to do with transportation. So when I'm doing my transportation theme, I just pull them all out and then store them back, you know, with the like object. So then when I am ready to plan a theme for a week, so I'll sit down one time a week, go through and like I'll go through my box, see what I already have, fill that in my planning, and then I'll go, you know, look for any other resources or games or activities or experiments or whatever it is for that theme that I might need to fill in. But anything that I already have for a theme is pretty much right in my box, in the folder or next to it or whatever. As for books, we do lots of books with each theme, but as you can see, I didn't have any for community helpers. I had 1 or 2 for transportation. I don't keep a lot of books on hand on me. They are hard to store, they take up a lot of bookshelf room, they're heavy, and you can get resources for free from your library. So what we do is we make a weekly trip to the library. We, on Fridays, usually, take a trip there. They get to pick a couple of books out, and I pick out the books for the theme that coming next week. So if we were going to be doing the body, we would go the Friday before, the kids would pick out whatever books they wanted for bedtime reading, and I would go to the kids' body section, learning about the skeleton, the muscles, and pick out some books there that I think would go good with that theme. And then I show you here, I would display them here on our bookshelf. So that is how basically I store those materials. That is specifically for our themed units. And so when we're on 1 week, I will pull out all those materials and I will put them in this file folder here, the one in front. And that just tells me that's what we're doing this week. And then I'll put the box back up on the shelf so that it's out of the way. But it's not far enough that I don't have to go into the attic where I keep the other 3/4 boxes in our attic. So I don't have to, I don't need to resource them or touch them, anytime in the near future. So I keep them away. And this one, that is our current quarter that I'm gonna need to be going through every week. I keep that closer here on the shelf. So that is where I store that. Now, for anything that is non-themed, so religion, for example, or our geography lessons, things like that, a lot of that is kept down in my file cabinet. So down here in this file cabinet, this one's just for general stuff, but this one's for homeschool. And so the first section I have here is religion. So any religion resources are in here. If I have, if we want to talk about creation, I have made this little, creation wheel or whatever it is. So I can go pull that out if we're back on the creation section. If we're talking about our particular, religious thing, I might have a printable on that. So anything that I have found or have, over the years, I keep it here in this religion folder. The rest of this file cabinet, it's not completely full to the brim, but this is how much I have in here. And all this section here, this is all geography, world type stuff. So I have folders on North America, South America, Asia, whatever, so that if we're ever talking about a specific country or a specific continent, I can kind of pull out resources on that. So, here is my Australia folder. So if when we're on the ocean theme, we talk a lot about coral reef and things like that. So we might be talking, when I do our geography section for that theme, we might talk about Australia. And so then I can pull out my Australia resources and see what we might have to talk about that week in terms of that. So then for math basics, a lot of what I have for math is sometimes we have some math themed, which would be in the theme, and I'll document that on my planner. But then a lot of what we have is kind of over here. So right here, these bins, both of these bins here are my math bins. Each one has a little something different, but I can go in here and get whatever I might need for my math resources. I have Unifix cubes, counting blocks, shape work down here, telling time over here. There's money units, there's gummy bear counting, anything that basically is a math manipulative or a Montessori kind of math. We have a lot of different Montessori math items. So that's why these 2 full bins are just for math, and I keep them in here so that they're easily accessible, because I do like to teach math in a variety of methods to just keep it up, keep it fresh and interesting for my girls to learn with. So then moving kind of over to this bookshelf, I have these 3 bins across, and that is where I keep my general language and general science. So in here, I guess I just should show you rather than a language activity associated with a theme, this is a language activity associated with nothing. This particular one is for working with vowel sounds. So whenever we might be working with vowel sounds, I could pull this out. So that is like the general language bin, anything that's not associated with the theme. And then this is the same thing for science. This basically just has all of our science supplies. It houses our, you know, test tubes and our beakers and our, you know, little droppers. General science activities are in this bin. The last bin here is for early learning, and I keep that for my babies that are basically 2 and under, because we don't really do, you know, straight through homeschool all the time. They're really young for that. So this has just learning games basically. This is to work on colors. We have little manipulatives in here. I have a fine motor game in here. So these are basically things that I have created in order to do early learning type activities. So that is where I keep those. And then my other early learning things I do are back here in this closet. Let's come on over. And they're in these bins here. So here is my early learning busy book. I have showed this, I will link this video. I've showed this book many times. We love it here at our house. It has been such a help with my younger kids. And then I also have this little thing, it's called Teach My Toddler. And it has inside of it different resources for teaching numbers, letters, colors, that sort of thing. So that is where I can pull from again if I'm working with my little ones on, you know, things that aren't necessarily a theme related. Like if we're working on colors or something, I can pull this out. Here next to this is my bucket of beanbag letters. We will use this for play, just to like work on fine or gross motor skills and trying to throw things in a target, but we'll also very much use these for learning and practicing our letters and things like that, because they're just so fun for the kids. So I do keep those here, easily accessible as well. And then back over here, down here is where we keep a lot of our craft supplies that we would need for any homeschool project. And then up at the top, this is probably the last thing. This is where I keep my homeschooling resources. Here's a book called Montessori at Home. It's a print book, so I printed it off and then put it in this binder. Here's alphabet activities that I have when we work on certain letters, how to Montessori math. Here I have theme resources. So in my themed resources, I have just a couple of books that I like to reference in order to get different ideas for my themes. This one's called Themesaurus, and it just gives you activity ideas for different themes. Same thing with basically this. It's a kindergarten teacher's month-by-month activities. So I use these books to get ideas anytime I need to fill a slot for one of my themes in my week, basically. I also have any like workbooks. We don't really do workbooks much. I don't think this one has ever probably been used. Yeah, no, it hasn't been. But if we were going on a road trip or something, this would be good to pull out. So I do keep little small ones of these because we do like to travel, and so being able to learn a little bit on the road is still nice. So this one is basically for my loop subjects, and loop subjects I am referring to something that you may not teach every day. Music, geography, you know, something like that. So in here I have my music kind of binder, CDs that, you know, we might play. In this one I have math resources. So I basically have little books. This is from Right Start Math, and it's worksheets for the abacus, okay? So stuff that they can do with that. And then finally in this one, sometimes I get stuck, and it's nice to have just little activity books that give you maybe quick little ideas that you might be able to do with your little one. So if I ever am stuck, I'll pull this out and use it as a resource. I have a couple of those types of books in here. This is called the Busy Book. So that is what I keep in this one. And before I walk you kind of to the other section, I'll just show you here in this closet, right here, is where I keep like my laminator and laminating paper and stuff. And obviously if you're homeschooling, that is a really important resource. So that's where I keep it, just really easily accessible there. So on the other side of the room, I have this little section here, our homeschool little world. So over here then, this is where we keep our abacus, our sandpaper letters. We love these. We use these every single day. It has uppercase and lowercase. This is uppercase and lowercase set. These are super nice. I will link them. And then this is amazing. My mother-in-law actually put most of this together for me. But in each one of these are little tiny objects that are associated with each letter. So this is the letter J. It has a little jug, jacks, things like that that are associated with that letter. And then at the bottom in these bigger ones is where I keep our cards. So for example, here are our animal cards that we can look at, all different kinds of animals. And then we have bugs and insects, we have vehicles, we have Spanish to English, we have shapes, alphabet, numbers, color, and then this is a new one I don't have a label on yet, but sight words, because now we are officially starting sight words with my 4-year-old. So exciting stuff. So that is that section. And then over on this wall over here is where we have kind of our calendar time. So then down here, this is where I store all of our calendar dates, days of the week, cards, that sort of thing. We have our shape work, number work, letter work, always accessible for the girls. And then here I keep this out too. This is our salt tray for working on letters or numbers or whatever it might be. I do try to keep it towards the back though, so that my littlest doesn't get it, because if she did, she would dump it everywhere. So beware if you have younger ones, they love dumping this. So keep it a little bit less accessible for them. Down here is where I would put anything for our weekly theme on. These are math beads. I would keep this in my math bin if we weren't going to use it for next week. And then really the last thing is our easel. So that is where I keep that, and it has chalk on the other side, but that's pretty much the last of how I store all of our homeschool stuff. All right, so I think that's it. That is how I store all of our homeschool stuff. I hope that this is helpful. Any questions that I did not answer, please leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to kind of answer them, or I can even get on Instagram. I'm happy just to do like a quick Instagram story to answer questions or whatever it is. So yeah, just let me know about that. And don't forget to subscribe if you like content like this. Give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.